Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I are playing the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The campaign is Horror on the Orient Express. It's available from Chaosium. I'm the Keeper of Arcane Lore, and this is episode 52. A recap will be given by Josh Harwood as his character, Dr. Dorian Dabrowski. So, without any further delays, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Josh?
Thank you, voice in my head. Anyway, it's been strange. I finally got a moment to breathe, to think to myself. Everything has been too much. I have been too far into myself. The days are all just blending into one. Like we had a chase for a market that led to nothing. Not really. Led to nothing, really. Put all that exercise in, and it was just all for meaningless nothing. To me, anyway. It just felt worthless at the time. We'd wasted all that energy. And it was another dead end, like many of our journey, well, a lot of our journey at the minute. We then had this very, very, very long discussion about who could have betrayed us. We mentioned about Julius Smythe. He could be someone plotting against us after all that nonsense with the woman, the fortune teller, and our doctor friend. We are now suspecting him, and we have found out that he has gone missing. He did not return home, not as far as anyone is aware. He's not even returned to America, but he might not. If he was going back to America, he might not have arrived yet. But as far as we are aware, he has disappeared. Which could mean either two things. They followed him and killed him, or three things, or captured him, or he is a traitor and he has betrayed us, which I am worrying it might be the latter. We now discussed going to the castle, but me and my good friend, we decided to go down and get the mail from Julius Smythe. This is where it got a bit tricky. We got it and it was coded. After a long time, where it felt like forever. Almost 40 minutes. Who knows? But this is what we got out of it. To my burdened friends from Julius Smythe, we are trying to circumnavigate our enemies. Had a close call in Prague. Managed to secure 2 scrolls. Will send them on to Constantinople. Imperial Ottoman Bank. Safety deposit 51332. Cannot enter Constantinople. Too dangerous for me. Would be recognized. Suspect other scrolls are there at Topkapi Museum. Will not be on display. Muslims consider them blasphemous. Sorry to get you involved. Best of luck. And that is what we managed to get. And now as I am sat here deep in my thoughts as we have decoded this, trying to, in my own little mind palace, I zone back into reality.
No, it's reality. Thank you, voice on the screen. All right, so you've decoded the message. You had mentioned going to the castle, and I thought you'd said the library as well, but I can't remember. Anyway, what would you guys like to do next? It's still morning. Isn't it morning? It's morning, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because the first thing we did was to go check, at least Dorian and myself, to check to see if there were any messages. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that he mentions in the coded message that he cannot go because he'd be recognized, and yet all of us clearly are recognizable as we've been tailed at almost everywhere.
What I believe that he means, Theodore, is that if you recall the account that we read of the Blood Red Fez, Smythe was present in Constantinople and would be personally recognized by the leaders of that cult. Well, the cult, I'm sure, knows that there is now a group of us in opposition. I do not know that they know precisely what it is that we look like, as opposed to Smythe, who they went to attack in England.
Yeah, specifically. Yeah, good point.
They know exactly who he is.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, we have not been preceded by any members of the cult. We either leave them behind when we flee, and several of them have been defeated in combat with us and with others. So I'm not sure that they have positive identification for us. So this Tower Museum seems a notable place to investigate. We may also wish to attempt the bazaar again. Simply because we found one false artifact does not mean there's nothing there for us. I'm not even sure that artifact was intended to be false. It might simply have been suggestive, although I have suspicions. But we have already seen that the napping garden there does in fact allow transit to the Dreamlands. So the place has some kind of paranormal facility. Perhaps the tower also it might be related to the fact that there's an artifact in the tower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
all right. So you've gathered your stuff together, what you're going to take with you today. Were you going to wait for name?
I wrote it down.
Dushan?
Dushan? Sure. I mean, I'd hate to sever our ties with him. He's been helpful. And I mean, we can just tell him, hey, we're going to the tower. And maybe he's got like a guy that can get us discount tickets.
At the very least, he can translate if anyone doesn't speak another one of our languages.
True.
I assume at a tourist destination, they'll be translating, and there'll be people who have broader European experience, but he seems helpful.
So he arrives when you asked him to, and is very happy to take you to the fort, is what it is. It's a fortification. And to your surprise, as you arrive there, he begins this very rehearsed sort of tour guide-y tour for you. Seems like maybe he has multiple jobs in the city, gets whatever he can. And in this case, he's very happy to point things out to you and take you through his tour. You guys tend to like to look at stuff close up and so forth. But after the second hour, you've pretty much finished the tour and you haven't seen anything remotely unusual or that would lead you to believe something else. So we'll say it's approaching lunchtime.
This is a good start. We've got the preliminary grounds mapped out, but does it seem like there's any place that the tour is sort of skirting around? Like maybe there's an area that's sort of locked off that tourists don't go to? Or does this seem very thorough, like we've seen everything?
Well, it's an old fortification, so they're not like really using it anymore as a fortification. So yeah, you think you've pretty much seen everything, including the gift shop.
Interesting.
It's not an unpleasant way to spend the day, but
yeah, not what we were hoping for. the only thing Smythe had for us. So Dushan, you're kind of plugged into the gossip around town. I'm assuming, correct?
Yes, sir.
Oh, has there been any parts of town where there's been like a outbreak of unexplained, like, health problems? Like maybe someone's, a lot of nose sniffles, and we just don't want to go anywhere where we could get sick or anything, just as we're turning around. But
Well, I don't know. There's not particularly any place, we usually post signs if there's something contagious, but I haven't seen anything in the newspapers lately. I mean, there are sick people everywhere.
yeah,
That's
but
just natural.
like area where it's definitely been centered at or anything. Okay.
You mean like an area where everybody has headaches or everybody has
Right. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
sore leg? Yeah, I don't know of
So-
any place like
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's these remarkable studies. Apparently, like black mold can cause problems for people. Who would have known? And so, maybe we didn't want to go around that. Well, that's good. That's good. So when we return this town, we'll be, there's no area to watch out for.
No, what other tourist places would you like to see, or do you want to see things other than tourist places?
Shouldn't we just see? Is the palace currently where a head of state resides, or is it a historical space or museum of some sort?
I'm not sure if there's a palace. Oh, the new Connacht. No, I don't have any information on that at all. It's probably, the head of state where the, I don't know, King of Serbia would live. I don't know what their politics is.
That would explain the new part, perhaps, if it's of recent construction, and therefore not likely to have ancient bits lying around.
Well, the city itself was really destroyed during World War One, and it's being rebuilt. But yeah, most of the construction, you see a lot of new construction.
Mm-hmm.
The fortress survived because it was no longer a fortress, after all.
Right. Well, and also you could see that it was quite fortified. I mean, it would take a lot of firepower just to knock down the walls. Well, modern walls are not quite as tough as 17 feet of rock.
No.
True.
So, you guys mentioned going back to the bazaar, which is in the north.
Yeah, not far from the fortress at all. We could pass through again. The people he was with us when we had the attack, yeah?
Yeah.
This is not a common scene in the bazaar, I'm sure. This is very unusual, I trust.
There are so many people, the number of crimes that take place. There's quite a few. That was a little wild, but fist fights and arguments over things happen all the time. The police try to keep it under control, but it's pretty difficult. And of course, and he makes a rather harsh remark about gypsies being everywhere, the Chicani.
Although the fortune teller we spoke with was quite interesting herself.
Gypsy fortune tellers are dime a dozen, I guess, but the Romani. The one odd difference about the Romani in this region is that they're Christian, not Muslim. A lot of Romani are Muslim, but these are all Orthodox Christians. Despite that, they're still not they still have things, traditions and stuff they do that are not liked by the other Christians.
Yes. Well,
So if you go back, in fact, to the bazaar, as you're looking around, you realize the one thing that sort of stands out to you is that the fortune teller is no longer there.
Good
Is
news.
is
Go ahead, please.
is her booth not there entirely,
It's
or
not
her
there.
booth there but she's not in it?
No, it's not there. Nothing's there.
Oh, okay.
The tent, the booth.
He picked up shop and left.
There's like a jewelry store there now, or a jewelry shop.
She was just there for you, Herr Dabrowski. You should feel honored. She made a special visit. She and her handclan.
So the day is pretty much yours until you get that thing from the Treasury Department.
Yeah.
You're kind of out of luck on stuff to do. You could go back to the university, or go back to the museum, and just look around and do stuff, or try to research stuff. But you got to decide what you want to research.
Yeah.
Is the cathedral a place that people come when they visit when they are passing through town, child?
Sometimes St. Michael's Cathedral is a beautiful, beautiful church.
After lunch, perhaps we'll see the cathedral. They're often interesting. Do they have perhaps any relics in the St. Michael's?
Oh yes, all churches have relics in them.
Yeah, maybe St. Michael left behind an arm when he passed through. Do you know the history of the St. Michael? Is he specific to something that happened here in Belgrade?
Oh, Saint Michael is the archangel, Michael, the one on the horseback slaying the devil, or throwing the devil down to the ground.
Maybe.
Okay, so you see the cathedral, it's beautiful and everything. You're shown around the town, but it seems like you're getting nowhere on any kind of investigation.
Yeah.
The evening comes, you have dinner, and unless there's anything that you want to do tomorrow morning, you can probably go pick up your papers.
I'd like to, with the portion of the day before we turn in for the evening, to just go to the newspapers and peruse looking for any unusual stories in the last month or so.
Okay. Weird deaths, things like that.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Things like sort of like what we ran into back in Venice and such, where like those bizarre creatures, just any stories that have echoes of those.
Okay. Why don't you do a library roll for me?
Oh yeah, there we go. That's what I was looking at. Hey, 36. But what does that mean? What does that mean? Library. Oh, out of 40. That was a success.
So you successfully realize you don't find anything interesting.
But I successfully did that.
Except that Keith has lost his head. Oh wait, there it is. Oh no, sorry, that was Josh that lost his head.
I was like, oh my God. I'd like to go if Theodore, you went to the library also?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to join him and maybe just do a little research. Did Napoleon's troops, did they come through Belgrade? And if they did, where did they where was their encampment or anything? I honestly don't know Napoleon came through Belgrade or not. So.
Let's see. You don't find anything on Napoleon. Well, you probably do if he came through the area, but it doesn't seem to give you any pertinent information.
Okay.
But you do start to let's see, you do start to look around through other things, maybe the history of the region.
Mm-hmm.
And you find one thing that just sort of sounds interesting, but maybe not pertinent, just interesting.
Looks like hard to pronounce. The extract from the campaign archives of Nikephoros I, the Emperor of Byzantium, 802 to 811 AD. During frontier expeditions to the region, the temple brothel to Cybele in the forest of Moesia was found to harbor activity so abhorrent to the minds of Christian men that only its utter destruction by fire could be countenanced. The Drongares recounted that some of his men saw in the smoke of the temple the very spirit of the pagan goddess rise up large as a titan, screaming with many voices, her hair waving as if in a great storm. The weak-hearted grew afraid and ran, but in the morning, among the ashes of the ruin, nothing remained. Yeah, I can see why it grabbed my attention. Activity abhorrent, that reminds me of that Viscount, Well,
But other than that, you don't really find much. You don't really have any avenues of research. If you look into seeing if you can find anything on the simulacrum, nothing.
No. I'd probably do a little follow-up on that article I found, see if because it mentioned, see if there was any mention of where that location was. Because, 800, that was, 1100 years ago, if there was any hey, it was in this part, the lat long or something where I could cross-reference. And
well, basically it mentions the
forest of Moesia.
The forests of Moesia. It's a large region. It's probably called something different now, but a lot of Serbia is forests.
Mm-hmm.
The difficulty is, even if we could determine that the artifact was in this area in 800 AD, we know it was in France.
Yeah.
In its entirety, the complete simulacrum in 1700.
Yes, you're correct, Dr. Naruto.
It also does ring familiar with what the professor already told you, that this region, that's Professor Milovan Todorovic, that this region was settled by the Romans, and it's rich in temples and things like that were constructed by the Romans, and that a good number of pre-Roman pieces have been found and put. That's kind of why you're on this track, because a lot of the stuff is in excellent condition. It's never been screwed up by humans for the last 800 years.
I am unfamiliar with the worship of Cybele. Dr. Neruda, what do you recall about this figure?
This is my area of expertise. Can I roll a cult?
Yeah, you can roll the internet if you want to.
65 is a pass. So I will look it up because Neruda knows. Let's see. She was a Phrygia. She's from Phrygia. The only known goddess of Phrygia. Which used to be in what is now Turkey.
Have we heard something? Is she related to the Roman Magna Mater?
The Great Mother, as how she was known by the Romans.
Has this phrase come up before, or am I remembering another life?
I've heard rumors that there was a family in England that worshipped Magna Mater for a time, but that's just hearsay.
Very good. Yeah,
Rats.
so cults,
I thought you'd know more.
Rats, I know.
cults and forests.
Do I hear something in the walls? I don't know. Cats are starting to act weird.
Yeah.
But it's a very obscure ancient religion of the ancient world, of the Romans. Kind of adopted, changed in Magna Mater.
The many syncretic things of different figures in Europe.
So it spread with Rome and then kind of died out with Rome.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel as though there's an obvious connection between a sort of female earth deity that's local to this area and the artifacts that we are concerned with. Even if we found a shrine to this thing, I'm not sure it would present us with the peace that we require. Since we hopefully will have our paperwork first thing in the morning, perhaps we'll have a stroll around the city center after dinner, familiarize ourselves with the layout of the downtown, and perhaps we haven't always rested well on these travels, so if we get a good night's sleep, we can dedicate ourselves to the unexhibited pieces at the museum that pass will give us access to.
Yeah, in fact, I will say that you have a rather pleasant evening. I mean, you're all still a little paranoid and so forth, but when you just before you decide to leave the restaurant and go back to the hotel and have a rest, Theodore, I'd like you to roll a 1d4.
1d4 coming up. All right, 1d4, where are you? Use 1d6, d8. Well, come on, 1d4. My spot hidden on 1d4 is filled. Okay, I'm going to roll a 1d6 and just re-roll. There's a 1.
Okay. As you stand up from the table and you begin to walk outside, you notice that the wind is blowing from the north. The rest of you notice that Theodore seems a bit distracted all of a sudden.
Neruda, is Thursby sniffing the night air?
Theodore.
I believe Theodore. Theodore.
Theodore, my friend. I walk up to him and tap him on the foot. Theodore, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Just it's that northern wind. I can feel it. Something's in the air. Don't you feel it?
Is this the similar feeling that you had?
Yeah, it's been with me for a while. Something's from the north, something chilling to the bone.
Yeah, well, the cold's hard on joints. I know what you're talking about.
No, Theodore doesn't seem bothered by the cold, but he did believe that we were being followed by something back when we were in
Vinkovici.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so it's you having a similar experience?
I'm not sure what it is, but yes, just something's out there. Something seems to be calling in the wind. I just don't know.
Did you do a power roll, by the way, Stu? Do a power roll.
Oh, not yet. Here it is. Power roll. Oh, look at that. Should I tell everybody? Should I just chat you?
Well, you know what happens if you fail?
Yeah, second. So I'm fine. Okay.
So you shake it off.
Yeah, I got a nice happy 29.
North.
Okay.
What do you think it is, Theodore?
It's something. Something's been with me for a while. Something seems like it's calling. Something in the wind. It like rides on the wind. It must be connected somehow to the simulacrum.
And you first started to feel this when we went into those caves.
I believe so. That seems about the ballpark time. It seems like another manifestation that we're all sort of running into different aspects of this. I can't explain it.
I mean, I've been suspicious that we've been followed by something for quite some time now. What can I do?
You can do an idea roll.
Because we know something killed the man in Venice that took the man in Milan who took Katerina's voice. There was something that I saw in the clock tower in Venice. 06.
Wow.
That is an extreme success.
Two things then. Theodore doesn't seem to be afraid of the north. He seems to want to go towards the north. He seems to be physically pulled a little. He's resisted it, so he's okay. But the other thing is that he actually started exhibiting these symptoms when he picked up that coin that was inside the basement of the old bar, the one that Vilkoman had hidden.
Do you remember what that was? That coin, Theodore?
Mm-hmm.
That coin you picked up in the basement. Do you recall what kind of coin it was?
No, seemed very old. It didn't seem like any common.
Was it a Roman coin?
Was it a Roman? I'm not recalling what.
It seemed out of place for the other coins that Vilkoman had gathered. It was strange. It looked like it was maybe made out of silver, but it was untarnished, and it was a strange figure on the back that looked kind of like mountains, but with a thin humanoid form in the sky.
Yeah.
I wonder
and
if
it's
we
the
could
thing
do
that
some research.
it's the thing that the Loigar wanted.
Yeah, and then we gave up.
You exchanged it. Yeah.
Yeah, exchanged it.
Well, you gave it to them.
Yeah, I did. I still had my presence of mind. Actually, I wouldn't be saying this, but I mean.
Yeah. Now, Theodore, this from the north, does it feel like it's changing direction? Like when we were further west, did it feel like it was more of the northeast, and now it's more to the north as we've moved east? Or is it just in general a pull to the north?
Would I know how far north this is? Is this like a polar north, or
you think that it's like compass north? Yeah, it's
compass north. Yeah, it's more. It's a
north.
It was
something
north
in the deep dark ice in the north.
Yeah. Okay. So like
it seems like some sort of message beckoning in that direction. But it did sort of start. It did sort of start. Back with that point, I believe. But yeah, I don't know how to explain it other than I must have made it. Must have channeled some sort of communication but I still feel it ever so often, like not as common and often as when I held it. So I'm hoping that this sort of passes with time. It seems to be a little less frequent now that I'm not in possession of it.
Do you have many fillings in your teeth, Theodore? I'm wondering if you're merely magnetized and the North is pulling you physically. I jest. Yeah. Does it seem, there's nothing like a voice attached? There's merely a sensation of...
Just a sensation. Yeah, I'm not really picking words up. And it's
Would you
not
say...
really, it's not like a communication. There's nothing two ways about this. It just seems like maybe I should go, but I don't know where. It's very vague. It's very vague.
Does anybody recall the Loigor wanted those medallions, and they were connected with some ritual? Does anybody recall what exactly that ritual was?
That the cultists were doing down there in those god awful
No.
caves?
If you recall, there was the gentleman who was murdered,
Mm-hmm.
who was trying to bring the coins.
Winkelman?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Winkelman. Did his diary mention what exactly the coins? I recall they were important to some rite, but not exactly what that rite was.
Do an idea roll. I'll recall for you.
Because I think, okay, 19 is a pass, hard success.
So Winkleman contacted the Loigor in another region, and they gave him the coin to take to these other Loigor. But he ended up getting robbed in the process. But he hid the coin first. So it was something they needed, yes, for some sort of... You don't even know what the Loigor looked like. They were invisible.
Yeah, he was carrying it for them. But this figure, this humanoid figure over the mountains.
Maybe a
Can
hunter.
I roll mythos?
Sure.
I think as a player, I have
as somebody who's in the Arcane Society and has done research.
No, 56 is nowhere close. I'm not spending the money.
Could I do a mythos roll?
Yeah.
Because this is sort of, because from my because sometimes it almost seems like hunting horns. Like maybe it's calling to my inner nature as a hunter to hunt up north. I don't know, but oh my gosh, I made my mythos roll. Okay, wait. This is wonderful. Look at that. That's 02. Are you seeing that? 02. Yes, out of 5.
Right next to your knife sharpener.
Yeah.
Yeah. You keep thinking the name Ithaca keeps popping into your mind.
Ithaca, yeah. I mean, so some sort of hunting call to the north, but I don't know really.
I mean, there now that you say that name, if this is okay, Tom. Now that you say the name, there are some religious cultures that revered a very tall humanoid figure that would wander the polar wastes in the northern mountains or the polar caps of the world and then across the stars, even a wandering tall figure that would drive people mad with cold. Cannibalism is associated with this figure.
I'm not having any draws to cannibalism whatsoever, but I don't know how it would start. I mean, this is rather concerning with such a name and legend associated with it.
It would explain. I mean, if this, I guess, from what we've seen so far, there are entities beyond what we knew or know, and they have mysterious influences on reality. If this Ithaca is real, this association with the polar cold could explain your skewed sense of comfortable temperatures, where you feel very hot when the rest of us are freezing, for instance.
I wonder, what could this possibly have to do? Is it at all connected with the
I believe that this is something that has befallen you, but is tangential. It's unrelated to the simulacrum, perhaps, because I do not believe that this figure has any connection to the skinless one. I believe we're dealing with two separate entities.
Well,
You can do another occult roll if you want to.
Occult is 59, which is a pass.
Well, the whole thing rings of kind of like a curse. Was there a curse on the coin, and you've inherited the curse? And is there a way to break the curse?
Yes, it seems. Yeah, your touching of this coin has connected you in some fashion to this magical being. So if there is a way to sever the connection,
I don't know how. I thought it would have gone with the passing of the coin.
Huh.
But it does seem like it's getting possibly less. But you say that you found me in real cold temperatures, not being
there's a
phased.
question that I've been pondering. The Memsahis, Dr. Kurz.
Yeah.
It does remarkable effects on physical bodies. I wonder if it cuts through metaphysical.
I really don't want that knife cutting anything into me. If I'm tainted with this, I don't want any more taint from anything else. I think we should keep that to a bare minimum. For you, Gun. Oh no, that's right. I don't.
At the very least, Thursby, given that you might have a propensity for human delicatessens, we'll not be leaving the Memsahis in your capable hands. If somebody other than myself needs to hold it, it should be not someone who wishes to make cold cuts out of other human beings.
I've never. This is just the story of Ithaca. I don't know really, but yeah.
Now I will say, Thursby, that if there is a physical component to this curse, and I'm not sure that there is such a thing, the blade might guide me to an understanding of it. The blade embodies a great deal of information about the physical well-being of living creatures. So if things get worse for you, or you run off in the middle of the night and take off your clothes and disappear in the mountains, then we'll have to consider this as a significant illness. Perhaps as you hope it is fading, the farther you are from having been the bearer of that object. But
perhaps it says we travel south.
Well, we are pretty far south. We are approaching Turkey.
It's not, though, as though a compass has a harder time figuring out where the North Pole is the farther away it moves.
True.
That's true, but I believe that, at the same time, Theodore is also not a magnet. We don't necessarily know how these metaphysical, peculiar magics handle or distance.
I would like to take if the town of Belgrade had a ornamental maze in it, I would be interested to see whether we could spin Thursby around and he would always know which magnetic north was. Could come in handy if we're lost in a cave again.
The Thursby compass. Currently we all have some form of interaction with these bizarre supernatural devices or things. We've all felt various effects from it.
My leg's always been a little gimpy, so I don't think we need to be blaming it on the leg and torso. So
Well, I'm not blaming it on that. It just seems there's subtle things. I'm not accusing anyone of like
yeah.
we shouldn't trust them, but Gunther, you and Dorian have shown some unusual fondness at times, not over the top. I'm not concerned. It's just a little peculiar of those pieces.
I just like it near me because I don't want it to get stolen, and the nearest place is laying in bed next to me.
Yet we go around all day without being next to them. So being in the same room is a heck of a lot closer. But that's fine. I'm just putting out there that I think we've all been we're all feeling some sort of bizarre effect here.
Yeah.
One way or the other. So I think we're all good. I just think we need to keep an eye on it. Like you guys should keep an eye on me. If I, like you said, Dr. Kurz, if I'm stripping my clothes off and running north into the woods, someone tackle me and knock some sense into me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, Gunther, that your physical maladies of late are not caused by the simulacrum. I mean, my right leg specifically, has been bothering me ever since I grabbed that damned leg out of that cave.
Yeah. It's true.
Isn't this concerning any of the rest of you? Like it's concerning me?
I am deeply concerned. I mean, but that's why we are here to destroy this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
and
why
we should keep the pieces as much separated as possible. Like no person should be burdened with more than two things.
Of course. Yeah.
Theodore, I have got your back like always. I will keep an eye on you. Anything happens. Thing is about curses anyway, they can be broken. So if you are cursed, we can break it somehow. We will just have to look into it. There's got to be some obscure folk tale out there that might help us. Obscure tome, whatever.
Well, I think, honestly, one of the best resources that we have access to, well, not at present, but the Widener Library at Miskatonic.
Indeed.
When we return, if we return, perhaps there is something among their Armitage's collection that could help us.
Yes, indeed. But in the meanwhile, I will keep an eye on you, Theodore. Don't you worry.
Maybe
I have to chain myself to you, Theodore, I will.
Yeah.
For the order.
And I mean, we will all watch, I think, each other's back. And maybe in these scrolls that are spoken of, there's not just information on how to destroy the pieces, but maybe they might discuss something about how to sever the bearer's connection with them somehow.
Yeah.
Have we thoroughly read one of the scrolls? We have.
Yeah, we read the Scroll of the Head. It was an insane document to read. Yeah.
Yes.
Was there anything in it that seemed to address the connection of that and the bearer of said piece? Or was it all about just destroying it?
Well, no, the Scroll of the Head was all about how to torture people in various ways in order to activate.
That's right. Yeah, okay.
The scroll. I am losing my ears, so I'm going to switch to. I don't want to wear the headphones, but I'm going to wear them.
Yeah.
In a moment.
Yeah. It's the Orient Library.
Yes, I was.
Widener is at Harvard.
Oh, yes, we all got it confused.
I was thinking maybe, I hate to be one to paint people with a wide brush. I thought maybe the Romani could help with a curse. Or in folklore, they've been known to put curses on people.
They are the closest to that kind of realm, I guess, in all history. Gypsy curses, as they like to, as a lot of nicknames are. But we don't want to say that because it is very inflammatory.
Maybe we should go back to the hotel and get
Yeah.
Theodore out of this cold wind.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Theodore finds it all that cold.
I find it cold then.
I do not. I do not, but I will take your word for it since the four of you find it cold. And since I do occasionally catch myself drifting a little bit with the northern wind, I will take your word for it that that's not normal. And
I wonder what it's doing to your. Obviously, you're not feeling the cold, but your body has to be.
I think Theodore's
feeling it.
frame of reference towards cold has been altered.
It's an interesting
I mean-
question there, Dabrowski. Maybe we could put some ice on him and see if his skin reacts the way ice would, even if he doesn't have the same
Yes, 'cause it must-
sensation.
Well, you
Must be
could
having
say
some
you're
effect
still
on-
sitting at the restaurant having this discussion.
okay.
Yeah.
It has to have
Appropriate
some
ice.
effect on you.
So if we get some ice and we put it on Theodore's hand,
Mhm.
do you feel it as warm, cold? Does the ice cube melt?
He doesn't feel it, and the ice cube doesn't melt, at least not as quickly as you think that it would on a warm hand.
But I don't. Am I? Do I see it as a little off too? I mean, do I need to make a POW check? Like, would I see that as a little bit off?
What, the ice?
Yeah, the
If you
ice.
hold it in your hand like this, it's not melting very quickly. I mean, you notice that it's a little wet, but you keep opening up your hand and there's almost no melt to it.
And I've hunted before. I have plenty of experience with ice and how I react to ice. So
Yeah, it's
I'm
cold.
seeing this as weird, right? Am
Yeah,
I
I
seeing-
mean,
It
yeah,
feels
I
like
could-
a rock in your hand.
yeah, this is weird. This is something does seem off.
And also, if any of you manage to touch Theodore, he feels cold.
He's cold. That's what I was going to check next.
He's
yeah.
not icy cold, but he's cold.
he's not 98.6.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, I want a thermometer. The hotel must have. They've got a little.
First aid kit. Mhm.
Full of delicious natural mercury.
I want some delicious natural mercury. I go to concierge and ask for a thermometer. I say, I think I might be a little ill.
They find one for you. And
Oral.
yeah, let's hope so.
Oral
Concierge.
only. Thank you. Did not know I have to.
Well, it's not
discuss
oral, but we've washed it. Yeah, no. So we'll say that your body temperature, your mouth temperature, is probably around 40 degrees.
Oh my God! We're talking. Yeah, this is Fahrenheit here, not
Yeah,
Celsius.
your core temperature, you'd have to use the other kind of thermometer, but it would be about 3 or 4 degrees colder. But you're not dead. You don't
I'm
feel
like horrified.
dead.
My God! I think this can't be right. This is I'll take it again.
You look pink. You look fine.
Yeah,
You're not
I'm-
pale.
I'm terrified. This is like my God, what's happening to me?
I wonder what it's doing to the inside of your body.
yeah.
I feel fine, but obviously I'm not.
You're not feeling lethargic or anything like when people start turning. I mean, you're past hypothermia.
I feel top of my game. I'm
Yeah.
My only worry is if we break this.
I mean,
if
he
we somehow break the
should-
curse.
According to the thermometer, Theodore is a dead man, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, this is terrifying. And okay,
Walking
so
Dead.
can I look in the mirror like and a light flash in my eye? Does my pupil dilate or?
You look perfectly fine. You feel perfectly fine.
I have some questions about your intestinal flora and how they persist in such a negative environment. But if you feel, I think that what we've learned is that it is more imperative to break this curse than we realized. This will ruin your romantic opportunities, after all. Very difficult for a young lady to cuddle with a man who feels the temperature of a cinder block.
Yeah, but he might last 150 years because he's naturally refrigerated.
I wonder what your bodily. It sounds. I whisper it because we're in a restaurant. I wonder what your bodily fluids are like, Theodore. Because you're ice cold, and I know Roland brought it up, but that could also be a test as to maybe when you have go to the toilet, you can check.
Well, I mean, I would have noticed recently, the last few days, right? I'm just if everything seems fine.
40
Right?
degrees is not that cold.
Yeah, it's not freezing.
It's
That's
refrigerator
32.
temperature.
That's
Yeah,
Yeah. But
He's
when
not,
it,
he's not peeing icicles.
No, but
but
it's
when
still
it
something that you don't want.
When it is below half of what it's supposed to be, that's a little it's
Yeah.
very concerning.
When you-
relatively extremely cold.
Yeah.
when the hunter pauses in the forest in the cool of night and urinates against the trees, there ought to be a little bit of steam coming out. And I don't think you're going to get any steam out of Thorsby at this point.
The 40 degrees is 4.4 degrees Celsius. Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would be great. I
in
mean,
fact-
I won't have a breath in the snow, so that would be great for hunting. My position wouldn't be given away.
Yeah,
Am
that's
I
true.
correct?
But this is actually cooler than the ambient temperature of the room. So you are not merely not generating body heat, but you are
actually.
chilling the room around you.
Feeling the room around me. Yeah, this is quite terrifying. Should I take a sanity check by any chance?
You can, sure.
Yeah.
My
This
only
is-
big worry is
Oh,
if
that's
we
26.
break this curse, what will happen? Because surely, if we somehow broke this curse, surely everything that has been affecting you would just crash against you at once. You could end up really ill.
Well, I would hope that the removal of the curse would restore Theodore to normal.
Hypothalamus would restore his temperature to normal.
Huh.
Maybe. Might pass out first.
Oh,
Yeah, I feel fine. So far I haven't tried to eat any of you, so that's a good sign.
Hang on, let me just put my finger in front of you, my hand.
yeah.
Wave
We've,
it around.
No, I Theodore, I wouldn't worry about that too much. It's the
Want a popsicle?
yeah. Huh.
If I wake up in the morning,
you were
my
not
hand missing-
starving alone in the very far north.
Yeah.
You know, if any connection with cannibalism, I'm sure, is from that dire situation than sitting comfortably here in this hotel, restaurant, wherever we are.
Well, let's maybe move on with the task at hand and just keep an eye on me, and we'll keep an eye on one another.
So you all retired to your rooms. And I think, you guys deserve a little bit back because you really didn't do anything today but entertain yourselves and scare yourselves. So, take a point of sanity back. And if you've got any health issues, you can roll for, a couple of, one hit point back if you've lost any hit points recently. However, those of you who are still attached to the simulacrum, you're a little achy in whatever body part that is. But Theodore, do a luck roll.
53, and that is a definite pass.
Okay. I actually meant a willpower roll, but that's still a pass.
Oh, okay. Willpower?
Is a 53 pass your willpower?
A 53 passes my POW, but should I roll again?
No. So you have vague, disturbing dreams now that you're thinking a lot about this ice and snow, and you can almost call it a blue dream. Everything is kind of blue. There are pine forests. There is snow everywhere. And off in the distance, you can hear what sounds like an ongoing hunt. You can hear horns, but they're not like da 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 da. It sounds like some ancient Norse horn being blown and the barking of dogs or wolves.
Oh yeah, quite
or
attractive.
something.
That's the good way to hunt. None of that.
But it's a little terrifying considering what you've been thinking about, but maybe not unusual that you've been thinking about it. So we'll move ahead a little. You wake up in the morning, you have breakfast. A couple of you go over to the Treasury Department, and not a problem. You've got your forms. They've been signed and stamped and approved. And you're on your way back to the museum.
Excellent.
We did it.
Yeah.
So you arrive back, you know where his office is, and you go, and the statue that he was working on, the Sibylline Venus, he's still working on it. He's just on another part of it, and he's cleaning it. And he sees you come back. Oh, you've come back. Did you manage to get secure? I wasn't sure whether you were just phonies. But if you've got your paperwork in line,
Yes.
then I think you are who you say that you are.
Oh, good.
So after he takes a few more minutes to finish up what he was doing, he sits down with you and he says, so this area is very large, and the Romans occupied, and there were people here before, and various sculptures and things like that are all hidden throughout the landscape. People work the fields, people chop down parts of the forest, and they find these things. So currently my supplier, he lives in a village. He is an Orthodox priest, and his name is I should have had it written. Father Filipovich, Father Vladim Filipovich. And he lives in a village named Orashach. O-R-A. It's an S-A-C, but it's an S with a little thing over the top. So it's Orashach, which is a rather famous place. It's where the revolution began against the Muslims invasion, where the Ottomans were first rebelled against.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think that Father Filipovich is the source. He's the supplier. I went to college. I went to university with him. I was the best man at his wedding when he was married. And he took this position because they needed a priest. It was actually his wife wanted to move close to where her family lived, which she lives nearer to Orashach than any place else. It's not a large village, but it's a famous one. It has about 800 people. And it is how many miles? It's quite a few miles. You can see that. You'll have to take a train, and you'll have to take a couple of trains. You'll have to take a train to a larger town called Mladenovac, and then from there you'll have to take a smaller gauge train to Arandrelovac, and from there you'll have to get a ride or walk to Orishach. It's quite a ways out there in the countryside. But I can send a message. I'm not sure whether you'll get there first or the message will, but we're very good friends.
Mm-hmm.
You can speak to him, tell him while you're there, and perhaps he can put you in touch with his source, or he could maybe procure whatever you're looking for. But he has produced, and he begins to walk you around the museum. He has sent us these pieces, some of the finest pieces that we have. There is stuff from the Roman period and the pre-Roman period, and some of our finest pieces. I'm told that his source is an expert in such things, highly educated, but he hasn't told me anything more than that. So his source might want to remain somewhat anonymous, but here's where to go, how to get there, and so forth. It'll take you a while to get there.
And you would be so kind as to send the good father a telegram to expect us?
I don't know that they have a telegraph office in Orishach. I'll have to look into that, but even without the message, I can write you
if you
recommendation.
That'd be probably the best.
So he writes you, in fact, a letter of introduction and why you're there, and that your paperwork is in order if you choose to bring anything back with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the info that he gives you.
Do we wish to spend a couple of hours looking at the storage behind the museum to see perhaps there are crates saying limbs, heads? Or do we want to make travel arrangements right away because we feel certain that the museum has not had an intake for this artifact because he would have seen it?
I mean, I could go make the travel arrangements for us we don't need all 5 of us to go to the train station. Maybe I'd like someone else to come with me. Traveling alone is never the best option. But.
I'll be more than happy to go with you, Gunther.
Okay.
And if Dushan is still hanging around, whether you want him to be or not, he can, of course, he knows exactly what to do to get you tickets and so forth.
We should pay him a retainer to keep him around, I think.
Yeah.
Well, he's always around.
That's right.
Yeah, he appreciates your money. You guys are paying him probably better than he normally gets.
The question is whether we should take him actually to the small village with us also, where communication might be more difficult.
That might ease communications. I fear as though
we have had to flee from
endanger him.
Yeah.
And if you ask him, he's like, no. I'm a city boy. I'm not a country boy.
Thank you.
It's too bad.
It takes 4 hours. It's a 4-hour trip to Mladenovac. And then it's probably another few hours to Andrejelovac and Koplayare, and then a ways to Orishach. So it's going to be a day's travel.
Yeah, we'll want to book it for leaving in the morning then, obviously.
Yeah.
This is the morning. You guys have...
Yeah, but I doubt we could get a train ticket all the way
I have a feeling that we can't.
I mean, if we can.
Unless you want to spend another whole night here.
Yeah.
But whether you do that or not, you just keep track of that if that's what you want to do. Wait until the morning. What you do find out in the process is that it's a regular gauge rail to Mladenovac, But then it's a small gauge train to Andrejelovac, which is usually a lot slower. So,
Yeah.
And these are trains. They're passenger trains, but these are passenger trains for workers, for people who go back and forth between the city and the smaller city.
Also, I would be surprised if there weren't farmers with boxes of chickens and various other sort of laborers taking the trip back and forth.
So you get your tickets, and you say goodbye to Dushan, and it's 40 miles. Here it is. Mladenovac is a very busy factory town. So there's a lot of passengers that are traveling there. And it's a fairly interesting, drive. It's pretty countryside, lots of hills, lots of farms, lots of woods, very pretty. It has only one class. There's not like a first class or second class. It's just everybody gets on. Right. You get on the train, and you can see that there are in fact farmers. There are people with animals and stuff that they're taking home. Everything. There's even like some furniture in the back that's been placed there. And I would like you all, what ends up happening, which is very interesting, is the people are very friendly and they're kind, and some of them pull out musical instruments and they start to play, and they pass around food when people are hungry. But when you first get on the train, they're just seat anywhere. You guys work your way in, and Gunter gets a seat, and Theodore gets a seat, and Roland gets a seat, and Dr. Neruda gets a seat. But Dorian, as you go to get that empty seat that's right there, as you go up there is a black chicken sitting in the seat. And it gives you the evil eye. It's just like, as you get to the seat.
I'm probably going to sound even weird to anyone. What are you doing here?
Yeah, people start to laugh. But the chicken looks like you're crazy if I'm giving up my seat for you.
What are you doing? I'm going crazy. What are you doing? Get out, shoo.
You try to shoo it. And do a just roll a luck roll.
Yes, my wonderful luck that
Good old Lucky Dabrowski.
My wonderful 29 luck. Let's see.
Oh, jeez.
44 out of 29 is a.
So as you sort of shoo, it gives you a dirty look, and it pecks your hand, and it pecks it pretty hard. So you get a little blood, where it pecks you. And once again, the crowd on the train sort of laughs a little. They're thinking City Boy doesn't know how to pick up a chicken. But one of them rather aggressively reaches over the seat and just pushes the chicken out of the seat and goes like that for you to sit down. The chicken's very upset. And you realize that if you don't sit down quickly, the chicken's just going to hop back up and try to take the spot.
There's a part of me that kind of wants to, in my brain, as I was, obviously this is within milliseconds, in my brain I was swearing at it. I probably swore it in Polish out in the open before all of that. But there's a part of me that wants it to just sit there because I feel like I am...
It's a 4-hour train trip.
I know. He's going to sit down, but he just there's a part of him that is like, have I given myself even more bad luck by doing this? And I sit down and I hard stare at the hen. I hard
Yeah.
stare.
It keeps giving you the dirty eye.
What is
So
happening?
you arrive then at Mladenovac, and you have to switch trains. So you switch to the small gauge train, and once again, there's still a lot of people on board that train that are now going south and west. You're on that train. People, the same. They're very friendly people. If they think that you're hungry, they're handing you food, and you're tasting a lot of literally the local cuisine, and it's all very good. There's also a lot of drinking going on, so the various alcohols are being passed around as well. A few people try to talk to you, but they realize you don't speak Serbian. So they're
to speak a Polish.
Yeah.
Someone speaks it.
We'll say, well, let me do a luck roll.
Because there's a chance
we'll say that there's somebody who knows some broken Polish to converse with.
Did the hen follow me before?
No.
Okay, that's okay.
You lost track of the hen. What you said? Where are you from?
Where am I from? I'm from Krakow in Poland.
Oh, from Krakow.
Yeah.
Where you all look like you are businessmen or.
Sorry, we are academics. I'm actually from Klodsko, Poland. I got my own birthplace mixed up.
Well, you know, but why are you out in the countryside? That's what's out here. There's nothing.
We are academics. We are doing research in this part of the world.
Part
of Europe. Yes.
So he goes on. It's another hour and a half. He gives you a lot of information. This is stuff that you might have gotten in the library, but these people are very proud of the area. So you tell him that you're heading for Orishach and that you're an archaeologist. So he gives you this information.
Let's have a look.
He's telling you this, but I'll have you read it anyway.
I will read it. Let me just move that out of my screen. Orishach. The village is named after a long vanished grove of walnut trees that stood near the present graveyard. Here began the successful rebellion of the loyal Serbians against their Ottoman occupiers last century. Orishach numbers around 1,600 people, about 800 of whom live in the village. The remainder live on surrounding farms. The village proper consists of around 100 houses clustered around the church and community hall. The market town of Aranjelovac is almost 4 miles away. Due to the state of the roads, people here consider that a long journey. The surrounding area is hilly, rising to mountainous in the north and southwest. Mount Kosmaj is to the north. The rounded twin humps of Mount Venchak lie to the south, and the evergreen-clad Mount Bukalaya lies southwest. I probably butchered those names. It's okay. Of the village, further south, Mount Rudnik nears 4,000 feet, the highest peak close by. What else are you telling
And he tells you, well, their most famous thing, the rebellion. He tells you all about that.
Oh, what a kind sir. You are so kind. History of the 1801 rebellion. In 1801, a group of Janissaries who called themselves the Dahias killed the Ottoman vizier Hadza Mustafa, a man sympathetic to his Serbian subjects, and formed a junta to rule Serbia themselves. Under their harsh rule, taxes were increased, land seized, and forced labor introduced. Before long, Serb leaders began meeting to discuss revolt against the new regime. When the Dahias discovered that this was going on, they captured and killed many of the Neves. This brutal action on February 4th, 1804, fanned the embers of revolution. Both the Serb people and their leaders realized that they had nothing to lose. 10 days later, many Serbs gathered in the small village of Orosach and decided to act. Karajar Petrovic was elected leader of the uprising, which started immediately. That afternoon, a Turkish caravanserai in Orosach was burned. Its occupants fled, all were killed. Similar actions were undertaken in the surrounding villages, and with growing success, spread further afield. On March 11th, 1804, rebels captured Rudnik, and then in great succession, Valjevo, Požarevac, and started the siege of Belgrade, which was to last for 2 whole years.
So you get all of that pretty much from your conversations on the train.
Wow, very, very interesting, old man. Very interesting. It is good to know. Thank you.
And at that point, you arrive at a very small station that's labeled Copliare, and you're told through the people there that if you want to go to Orosach, you have to get out here. A lot of the not a lot, but some of the farmers are eating off. Some of the people are packing their stuff. But after a few minutes, you realize that none of them are heading towards Orosach. They tell you it's about 3 miles, and there's a rudimentary sort of dirt rut road going in that direction. What do you want to do?
Dorian, can you ask your friend who has a little Polish if there's someone who has a wagon and does local taxi service of some kind? It feels like a very long walk.
Or even horses?
Well, the only thing here is the train station. However, some of them have obviously got family that have come here on carts, which they're loading up with the stuff that they had on the train. If you want to talk to somebody and ask if you can get a ride, you can do a persuade roll.
I can do that, of course.
However, you will need a hard to pass.
Let's see. 32 is just a regular, so it's not a hard. I'm not very persuasive today.
Yeah. None of the people that might be willing are speaking Polish. They're all Serbo-Croatian. So you're kind of pantomiming it, and most of them are just like, no, not going in that direction.
But obviously they wouldn't understand.
How does the road toward, I assume there's a wooden sign with some names pointing onto this path.
Yeah.
The road to Orosach is rough. Is it fairly flat, or is it very hilly?
It's fairly flat, but there's some rolling hills.
We are in the European countryside. It might be a little, especially walking it. I am used to this kind of terrain.
There's definitely a road, but it's not paved.
And how the journey is roughly 4 hours, but we began maybe 10 o'clock. So we ate on the train, so we still have hours of daylight, even though it's January.
It was 4 hours to Mladenovac, and then it was an hour and a half to this stop.
Mm-hmm. So it's the earliest, it's maybe 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So, and dusk is probably at this time of year. I mean, we're fairly far south.
Still probably 6.
Yeah.
So you got 3 hours or so.
Yeah.
3 miles.
It could be done.
Yeah. We didn't bring any of the heavy things. We left them in the hotel. We just have warm clothing for all of us except Thursby.
My only concern is the people who are having issues. Like I have issues, but obviously ones with the legs. It might make it worse if we.
Yeah, I'll be happy to carry things for those who are having difficulty with their legs.
Maybe we can fashion a walking stick of some, just to, like,
Yeah.
if you feel a bit wobbly, you can get it in the ground and keep yourself safe.
So far, nothing extra in particular, but yeah, you're a long way now from your objects.
The weather in Belgrade was pleasant. Is it chilly?
Yeah,
It's all right?
it's fairly pleasant. There's also a spring thaw, so you can see that although a lot of the orchards with fruit trees and things like that are just barely starting to put out leaves, there's flowers, and it's actually quite lovely. It's like this is real country out there. So you start to walk, and we'll say, what do you think it would take to walk 3 miles? Couple of hours?
Yeah, I mean, people can walk about 2 miles an hour pretty sustained. So I'm out of shape. Gunther's pretty out of shape, so maybe a little bit slower than that.
Yeah, if this is on a road, then yeah.
Yeah. It's not it's flat, but there's ruts and there's, rocks and gravel but it's better than just walking through the forest.
Yeah, it's not rough terrain. Climbing.
So as you crest, it's been about an hour and a half. As you crest the top of a little hill, you look down and you can see the village in the distance. Looks like it's just, half a mile on. And before you get to the village, you're passing farms, and a couple of people notice you as they are at the farms, and a man and his wife, they come rather briskly out towards where you are, saying stuff in Serbian, but they seem delighted that strangers have shown up, and because they immediately realize they can't really talk to you, they just sort of walk with you towards the village. And one by one or two by two, other people nearby see the procession and to begin to join. Some of them seem to be asking you questions, but you're not understanding what they're saying. Do you want to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna just say, Father Ladin Filopovich.
Father Filopovich, yeah. Papa Filo, no, what would they call him? Batiushka.
Batiushka, yes. Want to see him.
Yeah. So as you approach the village, a couple of them have run ahead. Mm-hmm. And you see this beautiful little Orthodox church, the dome with the little onion domes on the top of it. Mm-hmm. And coming from next to it is a house, a very nice looking 2-story house, fairly large. You see a man dressed all in black with a little hat on his head, and their robes. He comes out along with a woman next to him. He looks like he's maybe, in his 40s or maybe early 50s. She looks quite a bit younger, like in her 30s. She's dressed in traditional clothing. And as they're coming out, all of a sudden you see another man who's dressed far more like a villager, but he sort of joins them. And they come forward towards you. A lot of people are joining because they want to see who these people are. Father Filipovich, Father Vladin, he comes forward and he says, welcome, welcome. Do you speak Serbian? Do you speak German, English?
German and English. Deutsch and English.
He says something in German. He says, perhaps I'll use English because most of you then can understand. This is, I'm Father Filipovich, Father Vladim. The locals, they call me Batyushka. And this is my wife. Her name is Anna Filipovich. And everyone calls her Matyushka. So Batyushka. It is our tradition. And this here, this is Todor Nedik, our mayor.
Oh.
And he's like, welcome. He says, now, what makes such distinguished gentlemen coming to our little village?
We were sent to you by the museum. Your name was passed us by Dr. Todorovich.
Oh, and he says, Milovan. Yes, of course. He's one of my best friends.
Yes, we have a letter of recommendation.
Oh, yes.
Introduction.
He takes it from you, and he doesn't hardly read it. He's just like, if you know him, you're friends automatically with me. Welcome to our village. And he says you walked all the way from the train station.
I pat my belly as like going, trying to lose some weight.
You're hungry, of course.
Yes.
No, you must join us. We will find places for you to stay in the village. You are and Todor Nedik, the mayor. He's like, well, they can most of them. I could take maybe 3 of them at my house, and he says, there are only 12 people in my house. There's always room for more. And Father Vladim says, and then I can take 2. I can take the other 2. But please, he says, let us talk. He says, I'll take you to the place where I live. So
very kind.
So what has brought you here?
We are engaged in some research into an obscure religious sect that we believe has its origins in what is now Turkey, the Ottoman Empire. Very ancient.
The Romani?
No. This is a far non-Abrahamic ancient religious group, and we are looking for research into them and a particular religious artifact of theirs that was broken apart during the French Revolution, and we believe scattered by Napoleon's forces throughout Europe.
What sort of artifact?
It's a statue.
Well, that's why Milovan sent you. Yes, we have. There have been many beautiful discoveries. The countryside is littered with them. But he sent you to me. I mean, I have a few pieces that are in the process of being packaged up to send back to Belgrade. But I might know who you would want to talk to, and if that's what you're looking for.
Have you observed these objects and pieces for yourself?
Oh, yeah. She sends me quite a few little things. It's the way she's making her money.
Who is this?
Well, her name is Zora Jivanovic, but everyone calls her Grandma, Baba Zora. She lives out in the woods, about a mile from here. Highly educated woman. She went to the university in France, the Sorbonne. She studied archaeology, I believe, and a number of things. She speaks multiple languages, and she traveled the world. So she said she's been many places. But in her in her old age, she must be in her mid-80s. She has chosen to live back in the woods from where her ancestors lived, and she occasionally comes into Oroshach. She's chosen an odd place to live. It's out in the woods. She has a cottage out there, but she's a wonderful woman.
Yeah, well, I can see if this is beautiful countryside that you have here. The air is very, very clean. The people seem exceptionally warm and human. And if she is still finding things that she finds of interest and can pass on to you, then she has not chosen so strange a place in the country.
No, I like these. She likes to wander in the woods a great deal, and she finds things. I mean, we do too. Plow the farmers. They plow the fields. They occasionally just dig things up that are out in the fields. They think they're rocks at first, and then they realize, oh my God, it's a human head. But it's a beautiful, statue or something.
The museum is magnificent. We admired it very much.
Yes, Milvan has told me that I have sent him some really good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, you're kind of sitting in the front room.
Mm-hmm.
His wife, Anna, she doesn't speak any English, but she is taking care of you. She is making sure you have coffee, that you have cookies, that everything is placed out. She has always a big smile. She's a little plump. Go ahead and do some a spot hidden for me.
Spot hidden. Oh, 0-4.
46 is a regular success.
A regular only.
Well, 0-4 is an extreme.
Yeah. So those of you who passed regular, you do notice something. The house, of course, has a very country feel. It's got a feminine touch. So Anna probably does the decorating. You do notice that the room has what they would call an icon corner. It's in the northwest corner of the room. It's kind of up high, but there are icons of Jesus and the Virgin Mary, and there's a little red votive candle that's burning there. There's a mantle. It's a very nice house. From what you could sort of see on the outside, probably one of the nicer ones in the village. It's a fairly large house, but you don't see any evidence of children at all. Which puts you in that kind of mood that it's kind of sad that they don't have kids.
Yeah, he married younger. As we approached the village and people were gathering around us to go down the Yellow Brick Road, were they men, women, and children?
Yes, men, women, and children. Gunter, what you notice on the mantelpiece, there is a fairly large photograph in a frame and it's of a much younger Father Vladim and his wife Anna, and standing next to them is a much younger Milovan Todorovic. You can see that it's their wedding. That he's standing there as the best man at the wedding. But you got a really good role.
Yeah.
Anna Filipovich doesn't look much different than she looked in the painting, in the photograph.
Right.
Father Vladim and Milovan, the Dr. Todorovic, they've gotten older, but his wife looks pretty good. She's quite a beautiful woman, you would say.
Yeah. While you're making small talk, I'll just ask, be like, how long have you been married, Father?
Oh, we were married about 20 years ago.
20 years ago?
Yes, and the position opened up here for this parish, which my wife wanted me to take because her family, most of her family lives in that other place, Arjandjelovac. So it's a small trip when she wants, but she wanted a place to visit her family. We've have them as guests once in a while. It's she's a country girl and I'm a city boy.
And the woman wins out, and when it comes to a place to live, I understand.
Oh yes, I love her so much. She is a wonderful wife. She takes very good care of me.
I mean,
makes very excellent coffee.
Yeah, she's a beautiful woman too. She must really take care of herself. She looks so much younger than you.
Why, yes, I think she looks more beautiful every year.
Oh, yeah. That is a wonderful sentiment. We should all be so lucky.
Yes, God has truly blessed us. Now, you couldn't possibly go and see Grandma already this afternoon. It's much too late. You haven't eaten. You've walked 3 miles. And we need to split you up. So 2 of you can stay here with me, and the rest can go with our good mayor, Todor Nedik.
Theodore, do you want to stay with the gentleman and you?
Certainly.
Yes.
And I think it might be pointed out that Todor is probably Fyodor in Serbian, so he shares a name with you.
Nice. Excellent.
Theodore, yes.
Hodor.
Hodor? No, not Hodor. Todor.
Todor.
Todor. Yeah. Not Hodor.
So Todor says there's going to be a celebration tonight if you want to join us. Now, when he says that, Anna immediately sort of says something to the priest, and he's like, yeah, it's nothing. Just stop. My wife doesn't approve of this. The Chicani are, they have a yearly sort of, for lack of better words, a ritual that they like to do. Now, I personally don't approve of these pagan things, but I am a man of tolerance, and I think that it is very good that, these are harmless, nonsensical sort of traditions that they do, but they will be coming into the village, and you'll see one of the village's oldest traditions, but you might be a bit shocked.
Oh. Well.
I think, on the contrary, our timing is very fortunate. We have Mr. Neruda here studies religious practices and ethnic behavior, so the time is perfect.
Well, then you will enjoy it.
Is there some way? I'm sure you will insist on a great deal of hospitality. Is there perhaps something like a wine cellar in town? We can purchase something to.
Oh no! Your guests, your guests. Everything will be provided for you, of course.
Oh, wow.
You're too kind.
Well, then we shall begin getting ready for the evening meal. And if who would like to stay here, and who would like to go with Todor?
Me and Theodore will stay here.
Yeah, we'll stay together.
So Dorian and Theodore.
And the mayor, we think, speaks only Serbian, yeah?
No, he speaks English as well.
Oh, very nice.
It's a little more broken, but yeah.
Here in the capital of rebellion, they're very civilized, very worldly.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you think, Father, that Baba Zora will come in for the festivities?
Oh, no, I don't think so. She's too old. But you will get probably to meet some of the more interesting members of the Chigani. And once again, all of this has made Anna, she's not less hospitable, but she definitely doesn't like the Chigani. You're getting vibes from her, because she'll say something when the priest says something, she'll say something, and it sounds, if you can interpret just the feeling, and it's like, you shouldn't associate with those people. You should warn them not to be with those people. They should come and be in the church with me and say our prayers and stay away from those crazy, thieving, nasty Chigani, and he's just like, woman, shut up. You're being very naughty, very intolerant of other people's practices. And he's dismissing what she's saying is just inhospitable. And she'll immediately turn back to you and be very hospitable. But you're getting that dynamic that she doesn't approve of these pagan traditions.
Oh, wow. I agree with her.
So the two of you split up, and Theodore and Dorian, you are treated to a very delicious meal. There's prayers said, of course, before and after the meal, all in Serbian. The priest blesses the food. And you have a little bit of a conversation. We can come back to that conversation. So Gunter and Roland and Gabriel, you head over to another house in town. It's not quite as fine as the priest's house, but it's a big house. And as you approach the door, it's almost as if there are people everywhere. And Todor, throws open his hands like this and hugs one child and hugs another child and invites you into his home. And he then says, let me introduce you to my family. So this is my beautiful wife, Ilya Nedik. This is my father, Stepan Nedik. This is my mother, Theodosia Nedik. This is my wife's father, Radoslav Kasin. This is his wife's mother, Dushana Kasin. This is my firstborn son, Simo. This is his wife, Draga. This is my second son, Radmilo. This is his wife, Ivanka. And these are my grandchildren, Daria, Agnia, Miroslav, Zhlenko, Mila, Nikia, and Spiridon. So a full house of people.
Wow.
And he says, when you have a large family and a large household, there's always an extra place to stay. So we will figure that out after the meal.
You are very blessed, Mr. Nurek, and we are grateful for your hospitalities.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We so few times get people visiting. Now, one thing that you notice is that there are a lot of knickknacks here and there. Some of them look old. Some of them have that kind of brownish hue, like maybe they were buried and then dug up. There's little pieces of pottery, little bits of statuary even in the windows. There's all kinds of things. And he explains, we sometimes dig these up, in the fields. They're all over the place. And he shows you some of the more interesting pieces. There is a head, a little one, of it looks like maybe a god, like a Apollo or something like that. There's a pretty little bone flute that looks like it was carved out of bone. It's still in fairly good tact. It's got kind of animal drawings around it. And there are various things that look like they might have been beads or parts of necklaces, bits of gold that look like they were once rings, but they've been damaged and broken. And he's just got lots of these.
Wow.
And you also have an extremely good meal.
Oh, it's wonderful.
More family style.
Are the women look younger than their respective husbands?
Not necessarily.
Okay, all right.
In comparing them to Anna, they're a little plainer.
Yeah. Do you have any daughters?
He doesn't have any daughters, but he has, daughter-in-laws.
Okay, all right. Well.
Yeah, you want the list?
No.
And then we had to walk 3 miles back to the train station after Gunther said something untoward. Yeah, so, Mr. Mayor, the celebration that is happening tonight, it happens just once a year, and we are so lucky as to come across it?
Oh, yeah, we have a lot of celebrations, mostly church celebrations about once a month, but yeah, the Chigani, they also have their little rituals. This is Father Vladim, he's doesn't really, I wouldn't say he approves, but at the same time, he doesn't see any reason to interfere. We have had fairly good relations with the Romani. They have kind of settled. There is a settlement, if you will. They're usually a nomadic people, but in this case, they found the area hospitable. It's about a mile or so from here.
They're farming there, or how do they support themselves?
I don't really know how they farm. They support themselves, but they do. They probably do some farming in their own way. Their elder is Marko Markovic. He is in his early 60s, and their most esteemed member of their group is Lumanista Venklovich. She is the wise woman, or so they call her. She is 71, and it is she who will be conducting the little ritual. It's a very strange little ritual, but you might be a bit shocked. I don't mean that you'll be upset. You'll see. It'll be more fun for you to see it than to me to explain it.
I'm sure it will be fascinating. Again, my friend Dr. Neruda studies these things professionally. Just tell me that the ritual does not involve a black hen. Our friend
Black
has
hen?
an anxiety about black chickens.
No, there's no chicken involved. No.
Oh, good. Is it a lunar affair? What do you know what the schedule is that it happens today?
I do believe it has something to do with the moon. I don't know. I don't really know how they calculate the date. I don't think it's always on the same day, but they do calculate it in a certain manner. They seem to be a bit secretive about the meaning, or maybe they just don't know anymore. It may be lost. Sometimes traditions just, get forgotten along the way. It does seem a bit like a fertility ritual, but
yeah, this is the season after all. I see the little green buds on some trees.
Yeah, in the springtime.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, people looking for cycles of renewal, the coming of spring, inviting, welcoming spring in as winter starts to abate. That's very, very common. I mean, Christianity has its own participation within that very old tradition.
So you have a wonderful dinner. It's quite peaceful at the priest's house, the dinner, and it's quite boisterous and a bit noisy at the mayor's house, but they all seem to be very nice, wholesome, friendly people. Nice. So after dinner, the priest has a bit of an argument, it would seem, with his wife, who makes it clear that she doesn't want these Chigani coming to her door. So she tells the priest, you're going to have to make it clear that we don't want their pagan evil magic around our house. And he says, yes, they know that they're supposed to stay away from here because I'm a priest and I can't participate in these pagan things. But yes, they know. So it's after dinner. Those of you staying with the priest, you want to go out? He tells you they'll have the ritual in the village. It sort of moves around, you'll see. But your friends, and he points out where the mayor's house is. You can all go there and then come out to watch. So the ritual, very interesting. Okay, so the ritual, there is kind of a drum procession that comes into the village, and you're guessing that the older gentleman is the elder of the Chigani.
Marko Markovic.
And the old woman with him is the Luminesta Vinklovich. They come in, and as they're coming in, you can see that they sort of have staves, but they've got flowers on them. And as they come into the village, you notice also that there is a little girl. She looks like she is, just what you would guess because of the fertility thing, prepubescent. So she's hasn't hit puberty yet, but she's that young. And they go towards one of the houses. You could say it's the first house through the village. They go to the first house, and the little girl steps inside along with Luminista, and they close the door. And they're in there for a few minutes, and then the door is opened, and the little girl comes out, and she is now wearing a sort of makeshift gown, but the gown is made of leaves and branches and vines. She's covered, and it's a little chilly, but you can see that she's probably naked underneath that. She's barefoot, and she steps out of the house, and the people start singing this little tune, which is, you don't know what they're singing, but the tune sort of gets caught in your head as they're doing it, and you realize that it's repetitive. The song is, every couple of seconds it repeats. It seems to have 4 verses, and then they repeat. And after 10 minutes of hearing this, you can almost sing along, and people are all singing along. But as she steps out of the house, and they get on either side of her, the woman of the house takes a pitcher of water and pours it over the little girl. Then a couple of people reach down into the mud that makes at her feet, and they smear the mud all over her arms and her legs. And then they sing, she walks forward, they follow behind, and she goes to the next house in the row. The door opens, the woman of the house comes out, and she once again pours water over the little girl, and they rub mud on her flesh. And then the father of the house, just before she leaves, hands her a little gift, which she takes. And then they go to the next house, and they go one house after the other. They're doing this in the middle of the town. She goes to maybe 10 or 12 houses, and you get the feeling that the ritual is coming to an end. She now has people behind her holding all these little gifts that she's gotten, and you can see that she's freezing. She's jittery, but she doesn't seem to be complaining. The last one pours the water, spreads the mud, and then there's an uplifting sort of part of the song, like this. And then they take her into the house, and they're in there for a few minutes. And after they come back out, she has been washed and cleaned, and she has a new white dress that's all embroidered with flowers all over it. And the people sort of cheer, they clap, whatever they do. And she gets her little gifts, and then they escort her away and back to wherever the Chigani village, with the elder and the wise woman walking with her. And that seems to be the end of the ritual.
Very curious. I wonder what it is the houses they went to were consecutive?
Yeah.
They didn't skip.
Well, they didn't go to the priest's house.
Yeah, but
But they didn't go to Chicani houses. They bring this ethnic girl from her village into the town.
Correct.
Whereas they both sort of torment her and gift her. Was the packages they are wrapped in paper?
Yeah, they're pretty little packages wrapped in.
So we don't have a sense of what sort of things she was given, whether it's part of a bridal trousseau, or they are small quantities of money or foodstuffs, or
right. Now, while that's going on, you do have the ability to ask questions. Well, if you could converse with them, but you really can't. You might have, when you're looking at it, you might have done this to indicate to somebody what's going on, and they tell you, but they tell you in Serbian, so you don't.
And Todor did not come out to watch with us.
Todor would have been with you, so you can ask questions.
Yeah. She represents the spring, I guess, and
the earth.
How do they choose the houses they visit?
Well, they always do these in a circle around the main village.
Mhm.
The Chugani say that it blesses the village and offers it protection from a bad winter or from something.
But Anna would not have them in her house. So what if a family objects?
Well, they were all ready for it. So yeah, they went to the ones that nobody seemed to object. They've done this in the village for, I don't know, hundreds of years.
Does this ceremony have a name?
I don't know. Something probably the
So
Chugani.
in Chugani.
Yeah.
Neruda, do you know of a parallel to this particular sort of escapade?
Well, I mean, there's the images of prepubescence, virginity, purity, cleansing,
Yeah.
earth, development. It's the symbols that are used in this. I mean, it's so common in European folk tradition that while the particulars of this ritual are unique to this community, as far as I am aware, it fits within a broader European folk tradition. As I said, there's nothing too out of the ordinary, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Your guess would also be that the little girl is now treated special for the year because she endured what you yourself would not necessarily want to endure. But
Theodore would have enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
You would have liked it. So anyways, we'll have you guys just the celebration is done. You guys end up going back to your respective houses, and you find them very comfortable that evening. Dabrowski and Theodore, you're staying with the priest.
Mm-hmm.
I would like the two of you. I would like the two of you to do listen rolls.
Listen. Oh, no. That's a fail.
Did you fail by a lot?
62 out of 50.
Can't hear you, Dorian.
I failed by a lot.
Okay. Well, I'll just say, Theodore, you are lying in bed. You're comfortable. You've fallen asleep. Something wakes you up. You're not sure what time it is. You know that it's late. It's pitch black outside. But you think you can hear talking coming from somewhere downstairs.
But I wouldn't be able to understand what it is because it's
but
Serbia.
It sounds like people. It sounds like some people having a conversation of some sort.
Oh, like really early in the morning, like
3 a.m. 2 a.m. somewhere around there.
Does it sound like they're angry or there's like an argument or more?
It sounds like they're trying to be quiet. You can't really pick out individual voices. Just there's the noise of somebody talking downstairs quietly. But it's, houses.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't sound too off. I mean,
if you want to investigate, you need to do a stealth roll.
Oh yeah, I'm real stealthy. Let's see how awake I am. If I do it at all. 32. I believe that's a success. That is an astounding success. It's an average. It's a standard pass.
So you put on your robe, just so that you're decent, and you open up your door, and you're on the second floor.
Yeah.
You step out onto the landing, and you can definitely hear three people. You think they're all women, and they seem to be conversing in a language. Now, you've been here now a few days in Serbia, and even though you don't know Serbian, you know the cadence. When you're hearing people talking in Serbian, it sounds like Serbian to you, even though you don't know the language. This isn't Serbian. This is something else.
Oh, would I know it from any of the languages I know?
No, but
okay.
It has a very odd cadence. You don't know what it is. It sounds like three women, maybe in the kitchen downstairs, that are talking. How did you do on your stealth?
On myself?
Stealth.
Oh, on my stealth? Oh, I rolled a 32 out of 50.
Okay.
So pretty good success.
So do you want to investigate further?
Yeah, I'll just kind of peek a little bit farther. I don't want to go too much farther down without letting Dorian know, but so I'll do one more little poking around.
So halfway down the stairs or so?
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah, there are definitely three women talking in the kitchen, and you don't really get the idea that they're arguing, but that they're almost hissing at one another the way they're talking, trying to be quiet, but the S's are really distinct.
Sorry.
Want to go any further? You can see there's a light on in the kitchen under the door.
I'm so curious as to what's going on in there. So I'll just go ahead and break my logical reasoning from earlier, and I'll just go down by myself and peek a little bit further.
Okay. Do a luck roll.
Look at that. 17. Bingo. That's hard, or maybe even extreme.
So you go up to the door to the kitchen. You see the light on. Definitely there's three women in there talking. They seem to be discussing something. You don't know what they're discussing. Do you open the door?
This just really seems pretty. I can't. Yeah, I'll try to just peek in, just to peek in, just very, just a tiny peek.
Okay.
Just a little bit. They're not just a couple feet away from it. Do I sense that they're across the room?
It's a decent sized kitchen. So
okay, yeah, I'll just kind of just a little bit. I'm not going to swing it open, just a tiny bit.
Well, when you open it up,
a tiny bit, what you see is Anna, and she is making herself a cup of tea. Seems reasonable.
And at first you think that she is arguing with somebody in the room or discussing something with somebody in the room. But you realize that when the other person talks, it's still Anna where the sound is coming from. And she all of a sudden sort of straightens up as if she's sensed something. And she turns around and she looks at the door. She's like, she says something then in Serbian, most definitely. And what do you do?
Do you have a little milk?
Okay, so you're going to open the door?
Yeah, she sees me and she's talking to me, so I'm just going to go play it off like I'm just coming down for midnight, just a little sip, little.
Once she sees you, she gets a big smile on her face, and you get the impression from her pantomime, please come in, please come in. And she points to the tea that she's making, and you want some tea?
Just a little bit.
Just please come in, like this. You step into the kitchen. There's nobody there but her. And she's very gracious, and she makes you a cup of tea. And you having difficulty sleeping, or she's definitely.
Oh yeah, a little restless sleeping.
So you sit there and you sip a cup of tea, and you look around and you wonder what the fuck is going on. You do maybe a sanity roll.
Who said that I'm drinking the tea in front of her?
Oh,
I'm not. I was planning on thanking her and going back to my bedroom.
Oh, okay. Well, you can do that.
Okay. Should I do my sanity
roll?
roll?
I mean, are you kind of freaked out?
I am a little bit freaked out.
You can do a sanity roll. It's weird.
Oh, look at that. It's my normal 92. Yeah.
Yeah. You thank her, you take your tea, and you go upstairs, and as you're going up the stairs, you're kind of like, what the fuck was that all about? And you can take 1 point of sanity roll, and that's where we will end it for tonight. We went a little bit over, but that's okay. It was cool. Our players included Morgan Llewellyn, David Gasaway, Stuart Lively, Keith Craig, and Josh Harwood, with yours truly as the keeper of arcane lore. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members, you can set up private games, you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.